Hey kiddies, it's the penultimate week of Nicolas Cage month as we look at Nicolas Cage Freakouts. So I've watched about 9 of these Nicolas Cage movies now, and it may be fair to say that it's altering my perception. I don't know. Is it altering yours in any way? Listening to all of these journeys into the madness of one methody, crazy type of actor? This week we're going to look at 3 movies in which Nick is playing a antagonist in the film, and at some point the director just let him go hog wild, which may have been a mistake for the movie, but was just complete solid gold for us Nick Cage fans. So our menu is going to include Kiss of Death, Zandalee, and Deadfall. Now, Kiss of Death is a remake of an earlier 40s morality play type of movie, and this one plays out in much the same fashion, and it's really sort of boring as hell. The main problem is that the main character, Jimmy Kilmartin, former car thief turned family man who's dragged back into the sordid life of crime, is played by David Caruso, and David Caruso sort of completely unsympathetic, just in general. Don't get me wrong, he's great at playing a shithead cop in, like, say, King of New York, or First Blood, and he's wonderful as Kit Kat, in Hudson Hawk, rather, because everybody was wonderful in Hudson Hawk. But in here, he's just a twerp, and you're trying to sympathize with this twerp throughout the whole thing, and it's just a hell of a lot of trouble. Causing his life no small amount of pain is Nicolas Cage, playing local crime lord Little Junior Brown. Now, you might notice Nick is something of a beast in this film. He got huge in Nick Cage terms for this movie, so that he could just be this thug who is physically intimidating. At one point he beats Michael Rappaport to death with gloved hands, so you can't say bare hands, but I mean he's punching him until the guy is no longer alive. And all throughout it he's just in this low level, for Nick, sustained freak out. He's just perpetually on edge and ready to beat the shit out of anybody. There's this one part where he just hurls a man out of a truck and throws him to the ground and then just starts kicking him. It's really something. This is back in the mid-90s. So this was important for two reasons. One, this was the movie that David Caruso left NYPD Blue to make and launch his film career. So, I mean, way to Joe Piscopo all over that. And second, mid-90s. This Nick Cage, this is prior to leaving Las Vegas. So he's still kind of, like, he's still an up-and-coming actor and fairly well respected. This performance got rave reviews. Everybody kind of thought the movie was a piece of garbage, but Nick himself was lauded for just going for it and really just you don't see a lot of Nick Cage in this part. Well, at the time, you didn't see a lot of Nick Cage. Nowadays, it's a lot more familiar. But at the time, we didn't know that lurking beneath the surface of the calm Nick Cage in interviews is this madman. And it was really refreshing and fun. And also, he's got the most ridiculous wife beaters I've ever seen. Next up, we have Zandalee. Zandalee is an equally boring movie. It's about Judge Reinhold and his wife, Zandalee, played by Erica Anderson of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, the Dream Child fame, and their boring, borderline, loveless, failing marriage. And into this empty shell of a marriage comes Johnny. Nicolas Cage with, I believe the facial hair is his. The jury is out on the long hair in the back. I want to say they're extensions. They just don't look exactly right for him. I don't think the color matches exactly. what's creepy is that he sort of looks like what his screen tests look like for the Superman Returns movie, which mercifully never happened. Johnny is an artist, and he's got what Zandalee needs, which is apparently a lot of rough sex, because there's going to be a lot of Nicolas Cage angry banging in this movie. Alongside of a lot of Erica Anderson just naked for pretty much the entire thing. And I mean, good with the bad, I can now say that I've seen Judge Reinhold naked, which was never an aspiration of mine. But hey, you know, check one thing off of the bucket list, I guess. It's just weird. So basically you have this love triangle between the Judge Reinhold character and the Nicolas Cage character, and the perpetually, you know, indecisive Zandalee. And this comes to a head when everything goes horribly, horribly wrong for all parties involved. And while everybody's trying to deal with the repercussions of it, Nick Cage has a, you know, class 5 flip out, which again, this is like 90 or 91. So we the only thing we really had on record was Vampire's Kiss, which was nominally a horror movie. So of course he's going to play, you know, a crazy person in that one. So we didn't know that Nick Cage, this is always there, just, you know, 2 steps away from coming to the surface of Nick Cage. So he flips out in his art studio and proceeds from destroying existing paintings to creating a new painting by coating himself head to toe in black paint and beating himself. It's really something. And, you know, the wonderful thing about all of this, the highlights of all of these movies are on YouTube. I will be posting links, and they really need to be seen to be believed. You know, you think you watch Ghost Rider or Con Air or Bad Lieutenant or Bringing Up the Dead for like a really whacked out Nick Cage Freakouts, but he's done so much worse than you can imagine in movies that you've never heard of and never want to see, because all of these movies on this triple feature are just boring as shit. But in the middle of them, there are these little, you know, golden nuggets of Nick Cage wonderfulness. Which brings us to the worst offender, Deadfall, made by Christopher Coppola, Nicolas Cage's brother, and also featuring Talia Shire, who is, I believe, their aunt. Aunt? Yeah. I'm going to go with aunt. The Coppola family tree is very large and very interesting, actually, between Sophia, Jason Schwartzman, Talia Shire, Francis Ford, and everybody. It's kind of neat. Deadfall is about Michael Biehn, a con man who is searching out his father's dying words of revenge, or his father's dying wish of getting revenge on his brother. His father and uncle con men being played by James Coburn as twins, thus, you know, adding more Hudson Hawk wonderfulness to this triple feature. Michael Biehn's uncle, his father's brother, has an enforcer slash partner in his cons, Eddie. Eddie is played by Nick Cage. Eddie is played by Nick Cage in sunglasses, a wig, and a prosthetic nose. For starters. And basically, Christopher let his brother Nick do whatever the hell he wanted, which included just, you know, the standard high kicks, yelling, random, yelling all of his lines, in addition to just yelling random non sequiturs, like, here's to Sam fucking Beckenpaw, or Blah fucking Bryants. He's just turned all the way up to 11, and just every scene really something to watch, because he's just constantly doing coke and overreacting and doing a silly voice, and it's basically the craziest goddamn thing I've ever seen Nicolas Cage do, short of, you know, the Japanese commercials for pachinko. It almost makes the movie watchable, because the movie is very, very boring. Despite having all of these random people in it. Sarah Trigger's in it, Talia Shire makes an appearance, Mickey Dolenz is in it, for reasons I don't understand. And it's really, really terrible, except for all the parts with Nick Cage being completely bonkers, which is a shame because I love Michael Biehn and I wish he would have had a more successful career. Although he was in The Rock with Nicolas Cage again. All these 3 movies should be watched just for the Nick Cage performances in the Freakouts, because this is Nick at his most indulgent, and all the reins from the director having been taken off him, so he just goes for it with all of his might. This is Kiss of Death, Zandalee, and Deadfall. And we'll see you next week for the closing installment of Nicolas Cage Month.